When I was a kid, there was an abandoned farm next to ours, and I always wanted to go into the farmhouse. It just drew me to it. And I went in with my sisters, and we walked around, and there was old wedding dresses and old mail and old newspapers from 20 years ago, and it was all still there. And that spun off into my love of the abandoned. Photography for me started probably when I was a kid. My dad went on a safari to Africa and took his camera and came back with a whole bunch of pictures, and I enjoyed it. Once I got out of college, I went on a road trip to Chicago and went on a riverboat cruise and started looking up at the buildings, at the skyscrapers from the river and taking pictures. The architecture was amazing, and just taking it from down below at different angles just struck me, and from there it spun off into where I am today. I like photographing my kids and places that we go, and I take my camera wherever I go, so the photographs are always there. I've probably got about 30,000 photographs total, and anything that strikes my eye is what is going to come out. Right now, abandoned photography is my most popular work. It's honestly my favorite work that I like doing. I like exploring. I like seeing the quote-unquote unseen. It does seem like there's more interest in my photography. I've been in a couple of shows recently, and the photographs that were chosen were abandoned photography photographs. Sometimes I just go, for example, I go to downtown Detroit and I just get lost on side streets, and I just drive until something strikes my eye. And I carry my camera wherever I go, so I'll pull over for anything. If something strikes my eye, I will pull over, get out of the car if I have to, take a picture, get back in the car, and go. And sometimes I do spend the better part of a day driving around downtown Detroit looking for photographs. Yes, I do. Some days it might take a couple hours to find that perfect shot. Some days it might take 5 minutes to find that perfect shot. How do I decide what I want to photograph when I'm in my space? It generally, whatever draws my eye, and sometimes you go into spaces and people have already set up almost like a shot for you, or it's just the way it was left, 20 years ago or 10 years ago or 5 years ago. And sometimes you have to crouch down to get the angle you want, you have to climb up to get the angle you want, or you have to just turn around. I've been in a building and looked down one hallway, didn't see anything I liked, and then all I did was turn around 180 degrees, and boom, there's the shot you want. And it's just, it's all in what you see and how you use your camera and what you want to do with it. There's an old church, St. Agnes Church in Detroit, and if I'm not mistaken, there's a school right next to it. The school hallway is just amazing. All the doors that are wide open, and the colors on the ceiling and the colors on the doors and the broken windows, and it's it kind of tells a story. I mean, you can kind of look down that hallway and think, well, God, 30 years ago, you know, there was kids walking down this hallway, and there was, you know, classrooms and chalkboards, and there's teachers, and you just kind of visualize, you know, what was this place like 30 years ago. I've got a photograph with me of St. Agnes Church. Every time I go there, the graffiti inside the church changes. There's also a photograph with me of the Michigan Central train station in downtown Detroit, right off of Michigan Avenue and near Rosa Parks. And obviously it's a pretty well-documented building. There's probably hundreds of thousands of photographs out there of that, and most of them are from the front of the building. And I brought one today that was from the back. I just thought it was neat. It's different. Everybody takes it from the front. You know, why not do something different and take it from the back? There's also another photograph that I brought that's of an abandoned pool in the projects of Detroit. It's called the Brewster Douglas Housing Projects Recreation Center, and I think it's still standing today. And it's also a pretty well-documented pool, but when you walk in, all you see is color due to the graffiti all over the inside of the pool, all over the stands, all over the walls, and it's just amazing to see the amount of color. And I also brought a photo of a couple of my kids and a couple of my nieces that I took up in Port Austin, Michigan. There's shadows on the side of a barn, and it actually wasn't a scripted photograph. I was walking around the corner of the barn, and I see my kids and their cousins goofing around and, you know, playing with their shadows on the side of the barn, and I said, "Stop right there, I'm taking a picture." When did I start sharing my photography with others? I actually, there's an art gallery or an art studio in Detroit called the Scarab Club, and they have an annual photography exhibition. And I submitted some photos there, and I think the first year I didn't get in, and it might have been the second year or third year that I submitted photography. I got a photo in their exhibition, and just by going down there with my daughters and seeing the exhibitions and basically year-round, because it's right behind the DIA, so it's kind of a convenient trip. You can go to the DIA and then go to the Scarab Club, and that's when I started sharing my photography. And then, you know, Instagram, you can share photography, and Facebook, and so I do a little bit of that. Well, the Livonia Art Exhibition, I submitted 5 photographs, and 4 of them got in. I went to the Civic Center Library, and I saw that they had a call for entries, and one of them actually got honorable mention, and that was it was titled Adult Swim, and it was a picture of an abandoned pool. I like to share art with my daughters. I take them to the DIA, the Scarab Club. I'll take them to the Heidelberg Project. And you asked me earlier, the Heidelberg Project is something many people don't see it as art. They just see it as junk in a tree or junk on the lawn. And I see it as art, and my daughters might not see it as art, but I need to let them experience that and see it and see what other people call art. One misconception that I've heard amongst abandoned photography is that they quote unquote call it ruin porn. And, you know, agree or disagree, You know, it's all in the artist's eye and what they see. I brought up the Heidelberg project earlier. You know, some people think it's art. You know, one of my daughters said, you know, what is this? I had another daughter say this is the coolest thing they've ever seen. I might walk into a gallery and not enjoy $1 million painting, whereas the person standing next to me might love it. Is Detroit a destination for abandoned photography? Sometimes it is. I feel it is. I've been down there during the Movement Festival, and people have flown in from all over the United States, and I see them, or I have seen them, in abandoned buildings doing the same thing that I do. I actually toured a couple of places with some of the people, some people from New York, some people from Seattle, and some people from California. And none of them really had a bad impression of Detroit. They were all interested and intrigued by the city because of its potential comeback. It seems like it's all over the United States. People are taking pictures from rooftops, abandoned buildings, and anything they can find. Abandoned barns, abandoned houses. I think it's a curiosity and wanting to know what happened in that facility or that abandoned place. Taking pictures of it is just a way of expressing that history and bringing it back.